Hi again, everyone. This video is sponsored by a contribution from Lisa, and here's her story. Dear Ollie, I wrote you a little under a year ago, and you made a video for me called The Narcissist Will Ruin Your Most Important Days. I actually remember that one. This was regarding my wedding and how I should go no contact with my narc mother beforehand. At the time the letter was written, we had already put a significant amount of money into the wedding, and we were unable to cancel without losing thousands of dollars. So we went through with the wedding. While the remainder of the wedding planning continued to be a nightmare, the day itself actually went relatively smoothly. Not because my mother gives a shit about how her behavior affects me, but because she is so concerned with what other people think that she is very careful about causing a spectacle in front of certain people. While we did go ahead with the wedding, I have since gone no contact. As you probably predicted, the hoovering maneuvers started immediately. I'll begin with Christmas. My husband and I hosted Christmas 2016 at our house and had told my mother long beforehand that we were planning on doing so. However, she kept insisting that my husband and I go along with her to my uncle's house for Christmas because, as she put it, you're the newlyweds and everyone is going to want to see you. Another line she used was, after everyone was so generous to you at the wedding, trying to use people's monetary gifts to guilt me into ditching my in-laws at Christmas in favor of her side, at the family. Well, let me ask you something, mommy dearest. Did everybody get to eat at the wedding, dance, have a good time, drink their fucking faces off? So everybody yeah, they did. They did. So everybody kind of got something out of it, right? You know, it's always the narcissistic mother and the narcissistic parent, okay, that wants you to feel guilty for receiving gifts at your wedding, at your birthday, at Christmas. They got to point out the gifts you. Well, you know what? We live in a society where gift giving is normal, but only for us do we feel that because we get a gift, and this is what the narcissist believes. Okay, because you're such a piece of shit, Lisa. The fact that you got a gift, well, you know what? That's extra. So you have to make up for because the narcissist thinks that everybody views you as the piece of shit that they do. Okay? So in your mother's head, you know, the fact that they gave Lisa this piece of shit, this gift for the wedding, okay, now they must be expecting something back as well. That's what your mother, and that will somehow reflect negatively on your mother because it's somehow her responsibility to make sure she does it. Ain't that a bitch? She even went as far as trying to bully my mother-in-law into not coming over our house at Christmas so that she could drag my husband and I to my uncle's. This whole attempt was one big epic fail since my husband and I ended up hosting Christmas at our house with his side of the family while my mother went to her side of her family. We had a very nice drama-free Christmas. It was very obvious to both my husband and I that the only reason my mother wanted to bring us newlyweds to her side of the family for Christmas was for her own narcissistic supply so she can still continue to bring attention to herself over our recent wedding. While the wedding day itself was relatively uneventful, my husband told me later that my mother cornered him on that day to tell him that she knows she's a bitch, but she's working on it. He didn't buy it. The winter was relatively quiet since I hadn't really seen or spoken to my mother since the holidays. I haven't changed my phone number yet, but I'm planning on it soon after the events that have unfolded in the past week. My mother texted me telling me that she wanted us to come over for Easter. I initially didn't respond, but then she texted again asking me about how much cake she should make for dessert, a single or double recipe. I wrote her a short text back telling her that I didn't plan on coming. This was the start of a very disturbing sequence of events. First, she wrote me a text which was along the lines of, but I already bought all the food. Please just come eat. Plus, I don't want to be alone, and I bought you candy and everything. I didn't respond to the text. Then she called my phone and left me a message telling me how upset she was. She then told me to call the house phone to tell her what's going on. like some dire emergency must have happened for me to decline her invitation. She then said she could stop by for a visit today, tomorrow, or whenever. That's a threat. This was during the week, so she wasn't referring to Easter Sunday, just any random day she felt like dropping by. I never returned the phone call. Then, not even a half hour later, I heard my husband yell from the living room, "I think someone's outside." I ran to the living room and looked out the window and said to him, "Holy shit, that's my mother's car." She was on our front doorstep. I opened the front door, which you'll probably tell me I shouldn't have done, but my husband and I eventually did kick her out. Yeah, you should have never opened that door. She started by demanding to know why I declined her Easter invitation. She asked me if I was sick, and I said no. She then asked if I was upset because something happened to my father, since his health has not been good, claiming to have been worried about him also. This was obviously complete bullshit because she still blames my father for a lot of her problems, despite the fact they have been divorced for 20 years, and she could give a shit less if he dropped dead tomorrow. She demanded to know what the issue was, and I told her straight out that I just don't want to see her, and how dare she come to my house unannounced. She then walked right past me and stormed into my living room and demanded to speak to my husband. I'd have grabbed a handful of that fucking hair and yanked her right back through the door. I don't remember exactly what I screamed at her at this point, but it was something like, "You have no sense of boundaries, you fucking bitch," because I had just lost it at that point. While in my living room, she started pressing me again. What's the issue? I told her that we have been down this road repeatedly and that it's never just about one incident. It's that she is toxic 24/7, and she still continues to be chronically abusive no matter what I say, and that because of this I am done. I think a lot of people can relate to this when I say that dealing with these people is like Groundhog Day, where you find yourself in the same spot over and over and over again until you cut them out. It usually starts with some bullshit line like, "This is the past is the past, and let's move forward." Then when you try to put the past behind you, they still continue with the same tactics until you end up having the same conversation again, sometimes multiple times, and the only way it will stop is to cut them out like cancer. While in our living room, she kept asking repeatedly, "What do I need to do to fix this? And how could you put a band-aid over a lifetime of abuse in a half hour?" Oh wait, as if you could put a band-aid over a lifetime of abuse in a half hour. My husband remained relatively quiet initially, saying that the argument was between my mother and I, and he didn't want to get involved. After about 10 minutes, my mother turned to him and said, "Am I really that bad? What have I ever done to you?" At this point, he could no longer remain silent. He went on to say, "It's not just one incident. You've been abusive towards her entire life, alienating her from friends, calling her fat in elementary school, which she still remembers. You've also said some horrible things to me about my family behind their back." Of course, she claims not to remember any of it and told him that's just a few minor comments that he blew out of proportion, which she has told me my whole life. Well, that's what they always say. They want to tell you how to perceive their hurtful comments. I also mentioned how she has insulted several guests in our house when invited over in the past. Her reasoning for this is that she just tells it like it is, and maybe she just needs to work on how she says things. To recap on the series of events so far and why it seems so bizarre, first she invites me over for Easter and I decline the invitation. Then she leaves me an angry text demanding to know why. Barely 10 minutes went by before she actually called my phone to leave me a message where she mentioned stopping by the house, but in a questioning tone, as if she were waiting for me to call her back. I don't even think a half hour went by until she showed up on our doorstep, not to mention that she showed up at our house with wet hair. She claimed that she was so worried about me that something was really wrong that she drove all the way over with wet hair. I told her she did not look like a concerned parent, but like a psycho out of the mental institution storming into my house with wet hair, demanding to speak to my husband. She also claimed that the reason she ran over to my house so fast was because she loves me so much, and she was concerned that something was wrong and doesn't want me to be upset. She also had to throw in there that she loves her son-in-law as well. This bizarre sequence of events had my husband and I scratching our heads for several reasons. Well, not really, because what it was her out-of-control rage of you telling her you're not coming to Easter, and her narcissistic paranoia putting her into a death spiral. That is a narcissistic death spiral. I've seen my mother, Virginia, have several of them. When they can't get a hold of you, they start calling, and then they start showing up and calling friends. Narc 101, borderline personality disorder 101 right there. If she was so concerned that I was sick or something happened to my father, why not just call and ask first instead of running over to my house right out of the shower? I know this is fucked up, but typically in the past, if I ignored her text, she would just start texting my husband to harass him. But didn't bother with that this time and went right to showering up at my doorstep, which she has never done before unannounced. Because holidays are a different level. Being alone on Easter and for the holiday, again, it ratchets it up to DEFCON 1. You go right to DEFCON 1. Full on, jump in the car, get over there. She had no time to fuck around on text messages and cell phones. She did that. She has no time to wait for responses to play this out. Easter is coming. She's pressed up against the clock, which is causing her death spiral. I know this is fucked up, but typically in the past, if I ignored her text, she would start texting my husband to harass him, but didn't bother with that this time and went right to showing up at my doorstep, which she has never done before unannounced. Also, if she's concerned that I was in the middle of some kind of emergency, why get in the shower first and then decide to come over? It doesn't make any sense. Oh, why? Because I'll tell you exactly why in the shower. Because when you're in the shower, think about when you're in the shower, the thoughts that go through your head. I usually call it, when they come up with this shit when they're taking a dump, but it could be in the shower as well. She is psyching herself up in the shower so much that she jumps out in a rage, because you got to look at the time and place of what she is alone in the shower. She can't call anybody. She can't text anybody because she's underwater. All she can do is get the fuck out. And by that point, she has pumped herself up so much. It is throw on whatever's on, get in the car and get it on. That's why that happened like that. That's why, when you were abused, if you think about it, I guarantee you can remember your mother coming out of the shower to beat on you, because they go in there and pump themselves up, and then they come out like fucking psychopaths. The shower could be like the Hulk spinach to the narc. They come out and they become the narc Hulk. The entire blowout in our living room must have lasted about a half hour. Midway through, my mother started to change tactics. She changed from what's your problem? She changed from a what's your problem sort of confrontational approach to the concerned, loving mother approach, explaining that the reason she drove over so fast was because she loves me so much and she was so worried that something wasn't right. She also tried to suck up to my husband, telling him what a great person he is. What was odd about this was that she started talking about what a great person everyone else says that he is, and never mentioned that she herself thought he was a good person. Because she knows she's a piece of shit, okay? And with the narcissist, it's the opinions of others that matter with the narcissist, not your... Coming from her means nothing. It's always, that's why they say everybody else thinks you're crazy, everybody else knows this, everybody else said this. because the opinions of others is what matters. Now, why she changed tactics is she's coming off her narcissistic Hulk out, shower Hulk out now. Okay, now she's in front of you. Now she has to go back to her normal tactics of love bombing, manipulation, that sort of thing. It's in the shower that's getting her fucking pumped up because she's underwater and she can't do anything about it alone with her thoughts. That's why she comes out in a rage like that. My husband also noticed her constant changing of tactics for himself and commented how strange it was. Since my mother showed no signs of backing down, my husband and I kicked her out of the house. My husband said something to her like, I think it's time you leave because you're making us both upset, and we're not going to fix a lifetime of abuse in one night. She then agreed to leave, but was like, I'm going to use your bathroom first, and proceeded to walk through our house. Looking for information. When she came out of the bathroom, she told us she would leave, but came up to me and said, I want a hug first. This to me was totally sick since we had just had a half-hour blowout after coming to my house uninvited and my husband and I kicking her out. I told her to stop being fake. She then said to me, it's not fake, I'm your mother and I love you. And she finally left. May I also add, this was 9 o'clock on a Wednesday night when this happened, and she knows full well I have to get up really early in the mornings for work. We had not kicked her out, she probably would have stayed until 1 a.m. The next day, she sent me a text which I didn't respond to. She told me that she is sorry for all she has gone for all that has gone on, and that she is looking for professional help to help with her parenting skills so she will stop hurting me because it was never her intention. Yeah, see, part of the problem is you're in your 30s and she's still looking to work on parenting skills. The time for parenting skills has long gone. No, you need to work on your narcissism skills, on why you like to deliberately manipulate and hurt your daughter. Those are the skills you need to work on. Parenting, that ship has long since sailed. My husband and I both find it very odd she is looking for help with parenting skills, being that I'm 32 years old, so you already figured that out. As I mentioned before, I will be changing my phone number soon. I know a lot of people would probably recommend that I move out of state in my current situation, but my husband and I are not in position to do so at the moment. My mother has obviously taken her tactics to the next level due to my trying to cut contact. I say trying to since she knows where I live and we are still not that far from her, and there is still no telling when or where she will show up unannounced. My sense of security is now disturbed, and I am constantly worrying if she is going to show up at my house again, or even somewhere unexpected. If I have to get the cops involved in the near future, I will, because that is where I feel this is going. Anyway, I figured I would write in and give an update on my situation and would appreciate any feedback or insight. Thanks, Lisa. Okay, Lisa. Well, I pretty much gave it to you there. Okay, you needed help understanding why your mother came at you like she did, because you told her you weren't coming to Easter. It was going to be another holiday. Holidays are a different level for the narcissist, and then she got in the shower. And I'm telling you, the shower is like narcissistic spinach. It's like spinach for the narcissistic. They come out as the Hulk, just full on, and that's what you dealt with. Because this is a woman in a death spiral. So, yeah, I would be prepared to call the police in the future. I would think about putting a GoPro camera in your house just to avoid any incidents in the future, and I'd go from there. So, thank you again for your contribution and your story. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, a narcissist you'd like to expose, or you'd like to set up a Skype chat, have a private email, private video done, or a private phone call, or you'd like to sponsor a video for someone else, you know what to do with the PayPal and email links in the description box. And if you're still unsure, wait for the final video link pop up to come, and that'll take you to my instructional video that'll tell you how to do all that. Please also like this video and share it where you can, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't. And remember to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video updates. This is Ollie Matthews. Thanks for watching. See you all again soon.